Okay, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this symposium. I am Shiferaw Abebe from Ethiopia. It's a great pleasure for me to participate and present my work for this symposium. Having said this, today I will present on the issue of the Nile Basin Initiative and the need and inevitability of the Nile Water Sharing Agreement. This is my topic for this presentation. As you all know, Nile River is one of the international rivers that cross different political boundaries. The countries of the Nile Basin countries have been working for the last 15 years for using this international water for development, for peace. The Nile Basin Initiative was mainly focused on cooperation for development, for peace, and bringing fraternity among different peoples of different countries. The Nile Basin Initiative have generated extensive impartial knowledge and information about the river. Developing a common understanding of the river system has been crucial for building trust among the Nile Basin countries. Therefore, the Nile Basin Initiative is a very important forum for using this international river in bringing development, in changing the living standard of each Nile Basin countries. Regarding the treaties on the Nile River, mainly there are two treaties, namely the 1929 and the 1959 treaties. The 1929 treaties was concluded between the British government and the Egypt government. This treaty was mainly focused on sharing of the Nile water between Egypt and Sudan, without considering the interest of other riparian countries. The 1959 treaty was the first agreement between two independent African states, namely Egypt and Sudan. This treaty reaffirms the 1929 treaty and focused on, at the same time, sharing of Nile water river between Egypt and Sudan. The agreement allowed the entire average annual flow of the Nile to be shared between Sudan and Egypt, respectively, taking 80.5 and 55.5 billion cubic meter for Sudan and Egypt, respectively. According to this agreement, if any complaints come from the remaining riparian countries over the Nile water resources, Sudan and Egypt shall handle it together. If the complaint should prevail and a decision is reached to reshare the Nile water with another riparian state, Sudan and Egypt agreed to distribute the allocated amount equally from each country share to be officially measured at Aswan Dam. From this agreement, we can understand that both states were aware of the misappropriation of the rights of the remaining riparian countries. Under international law, treaty is one of the source of law, and it is only binding to the contracting parties. No country is obliged or liable to adhere a treaty that doesn't agreed. A treaty which is not a contracting party has no any effect. So the 1929 and the 1959 agreement doesn't bind Ethiopia because this is against the principle of international law. Ethiopia was not a contracting party in the two treaties. So we cannot oblige my country, Ethiopia, to accept these defective internationally unaccepted treaties. As you all know, colonial agreements are only binding if and only if the concerned parties are accepted. However, it is immoral and illegal to impose the colonial agreements on other states who do not sign and want to accept it. We, the Ethiopian people, do not even think a microsecond to bargain on colonial agreements. Rather, we need a new perspective and cooperation on sharing of our common resources, which is the Nile River. We are a people who dies for the good interest of others. We are a people who give a priority for others by sacrificing our interests. We do not want to see Egyptians and Sudans fall at risk. We aspire prosperity for them, and at the same time, they should aspire our country prosperity. We need support, cooperation, and mutual understanding from our brothers and sisters. If not, what we demand from them is refraining from interference to our endeavor to development. As you all know, without food, there is no life. Without house, life becomes boring. So, to alive and sustain our generation, we need electricity. That is why we are building a great Renaissance dam to get access to electricity without harming the downstream countries. We do not forget that Egyptians and Sudans also need right to food, right to house, and right to life. As you know, right to life, right to food, right to house are basic and fundamental human rights. To prepare and produce food, electricity is essential. To build a house, electricity is essential. After building, we need light in our house. No one is happy to live in a house without any light. So, to protect these rights, these human rights, the Ethiopia government is now building a great Renaissance dam for hydroelectric power. Using the Nile River for hydroelectric power is our right. This hydroelectric power dam doesn't bring problem or injuries to the downstream countries. So to get an adequate energy, we are building hydroelectric power in the Nile River. The Egyptians and Sudans are our brothers and sisters. We do not want to alive. We need them heartily. We have more common heritage. We are born to live together, or otherwise we are born to die together. But as an Ethiopian citizen and as a young generation, we need to live together. Dying together is not a good idea. It's not even to think. So, Nile River is important, and it can also benefit all of the down and upper streams. If we use this river with cooperation, we can bring development to our citizens. Therefore, the Egyptians and the Sudan's people should know that we do not have any intention to injure them. What we need is equitable use of the Nile water resources. Nowadays, equitable use of water is becoming inevitable and mandatory, because every upper stream and lower stream countries are obliged to bring economic and social development to their people. We have to bring development, we have to bring peace for our countries. Therefore, using the Nile River equitably and in a fair way is so important. historical right is not a right. Sometimes the Sudan and the Egypt government cites historical right to defend for the monopoly use of the Nile water resources. As you all know, rights emanates from law. So when we cite an argument, we have to be supported by the general accepted principle of international law. Nile River is a common resource, so to be fair and to make and bring an agreed solution, we have to come up with a new perspective. We have to come up with a new agreement. Without considering the interest of Ethiopia, without accepting the interest of other riparian countries, it's impossible to bring peace, and it's impossible to use the Nile River for the intended development. Therefore, the existing treaties are not acceptable in the eyes of international law. We have to come up with a new perspective. We have to come up with a new agreement. Therefore, in international law, every treaty should be binding on the contracting parties. Nowadays, there is no agreed international treaty or bilateral treaty on the Nile River. So as to bring and so as to foster development, Nile Basin Initiative is a basic forum, and all the Nile Basin countries should sit down and discuss on how to use the Nile River equitably and in a fair way, and we have to come up with a new perspective, a new treaty. The existing two treaties are defective in the eyes of international law, as I have said before. The peoples of Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia are all living below the standard of United Nations. Our living standard is so poor. We have to bring development for our citizens. We have to bring peace for our citizens. Therefore, using this international river equitably is so important. This is my presentation. If you have questions and if you have any comment, I am ready to accept it. Thank you very much.